Hey everyone, welcome to the KetonExpress Summit. We're here today with Caitlin Weeks from Grass-Fed Girl, and we're so excited to have her today. Welcome, Caitlin.
Hi, Jill. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. Hey, I want to go ahead and introduce Caitlin for those of you who don't know her, and then we'll jump into some really good questions that we have to ask her today. So Caitlin is a full-time blogger, like I said, at Grass-Fed Girl. She's also the author of 4 cookbooks, including her Mediterranean Paleo cooking. She's had many years experience as a certified nutrition consultant, a CHEK holistic lifestyle coach, and a professional trainer in San Francisco, California. Caitlin has also had success personally conquering obesity after a lifelong struggle with her weight. And since 2009, she's been winning the battle against Hashimoto's thyroiditis using the paleo and keto lifestyle, which I think is awesome. And I want to hear more about that. She truly believes in the mind-body connection for healing, and she's a certified EFT practitioner. And she's committed to educating others about the benefits of traditional ancestral foods and efficient exercise. She has a newfound passion for ridding her home and personal care products of chemicals by replacing them with essential oils. And in 2015, she moved back to her hometown of Nashville, Tennessee, so that she could be closer to her family. And she's now loving spreading health in the Southeast, sorry. So welcome, Caitlin. Again, just so glad to have you on today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So why don't you just get started telling us about your journey to this low-carb keto lifestyle and what you've learned and the process that you went on along the way.
Okay. Well, I was a dieter since I was about 6 years old. My stepmom took me to Weight Watchers, and it was, I didn't know. It was like fine. My parents were always very nice to me. They weren't like, you're gross or anything. They were
trying to help.
Yeah. And my physical fitness was low. So they were always just trying to, so I could just even keep up with the other kids in school or whatever, in PE or.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, they wanted me to, I wasn't like, I couldn't walk or something, but I was just chubby compared to the other kids, and so, back then it was like it was way before the points. It was
You broke up just a little bit. So she's talking about Weight Watchers.
Like dietitian.
Okay, so we lost you for a second. So it was the Weight Watchers, the old program of Weight Watchers.
You eat half a cup of cottage cheese in, 1/4 of a melon or something like that, So you had to measure everything. And I lost weight whenever I was doing it. So I thought that was great. But then when it came time for me to do it myself, kind of in high school, I had a very destructive approach where it was just like, not eat all day or just just drink Diet Coke, or just eat lean cuisines for, 2 lean cuisines a day or something like that. It was just really, really low calorie. And then I got into exercising. So I would exercise like for an hour every night, but I was like not eating a lot of food. So it was really a mess. And I would lose weight, but I was miserable, it wasn't sustainable at all. And it really was a sad thing because that was a time in my life when I was growing and, my brain wasn't working at all either. So that wasn't good to be trying to learn in high school and all that. You don't even eat anything hardly. Or then when you would eat, you would be so hungry. You would eat way, way, way too much because you had like tried not to eat all day long. I'm sure many people, can relate to that. So then, that was the first time I kind of started to control my weight myself. But then in college, when I got there, it proved to be way too difficult with the meal plans, the cafeteria, the free, so much like free food basically because your parents are paying for it. Or later on, I worked in the cafeteria. Like when my parents stopped paying for it, I started working in the cafeteria so I could eat for free. And so I think it all started because my parents got divorced when I was a little kid, and that really was really hard for me. And I think my parents, what they would do is eat for comfort, and so I would too. And So when I got to college, I was just out of control. I was partying, drinking beer, pizza, eating Taco Bell at 3:00 in the morning, because you have those big ups and downs in your blood sugar when especially if you add alcohol in the mix, you really become like a binge eater. And so I did all that I started college at 175 pounds, and I ended college at 240 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So if that lets you know what I was doing. And I didn't even know, I didn't even weigh for the last year or two, because I knew it was so bad. I was basically just wearing sweatpants, and it was pretty bad, because when I did graduate, that's such a happy time in your life, but I felt so embarrassed about my weight. I just wanted to hide behind the curtain,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You didn't want to walk across the stage. So after college, I was like, I'm going to do this the right way. And the right way.
We figured this out, right?
Yeah, I figured it out. So I went to Weight Watchers, but this time it was from my own, motivation. So I did everything they taught, and I did lose weight again, but I was still eating a lot of processed foods, and this time I was exercising more smartly, with a walk for 30 minutes or an hour a day or something like that. So that was a little better. I started to learn some good habits. I started eating a lot of vegetables, through kind of half my plate of vegetables, but I was still cutting the fat so much. So I was really still hungry all the time, because I was just cutting so much fat. So I was eating protein, I was eating vegetables, but I was really missing that fat piece,
And probably still really low calorie, so it's hard to fill anything.
Yeah, still really low calorie, and that was before we learned about healthy fats or anything. That was about 2000 or so. And then so I lost all the weight, and I decided, and I was looking really good, I was thin, and I decided I wanted to help other people to lose weight. So I was like, well, I'll become a personal trainer. And I did that, and it went really well for a while. For probably 5 years or so, I was running marathons. I had started to learn about sustainability and stuff so I got interested in vegetarianism.
You were going up and
Yeah, and I was living in California then, so I thought, we don't need to eat meat to be healthy, and we can just eat beans or tofu, and we'll be fine. And so I was doing all that stuff, kind of, what a lot of, especially for women, I think that's what we're fed, just eat like a bird, and, stuff like that. So,
a rabbit, right? Here's your lettuce.
Yeah. And what happened was everything came crashing down. I ran 2 or 3 half marathons in a year, and my whole body just started falling apart. I got terrible, my digestion, I never really had many health problems. And then all of a sudden I had terrible digestion. It seemed like every food I was was swelling, and my skin was all irritated, and it just seemed like I was reacting to everything I was eating. And then also I had this bone crushing fatigue. It was it was just, I can't even describe it. It's it's like your bones hurt. It's almost like if you had the flu or something, but you're not.
Oh, gotcha.
You're not sick, but you just, that achiness, and so all I could do was sleep. I was sleeping probably 18 hours a day, something just,
wow.
All I wanted to do was sleep. I would work for the short periods of time when I had clients, and then I would just pass out the rest of the time,
Wow.
I just could not wait to get back in the bed. And that's really weird, because I'd always had not a lot of energy, but normal amounts,
Yeah.
So that was weird. And then I started thinking, what is happening to me? And, I had turned 30 around that time, and I was like, oh, you go to the doctor, and they just say, oh, well, you're getting older. It's
30's old.
And they're like, maybe you just have, like, we should change your birth control or something like that. And you're like, what? So I knew something was up, and I had asked my mom, and she had sent me a list of thyroid tests to get. So I asked the doctor, and they said no, but I had to be a little sneaky, and I got the test anyway. And then it turned out that I had Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune thyroid disease where your body attacks its own thyroid, and your immune system's basically attacking your own body by accident. And, it's kind of an overreaction to all the lifestyle things. I mean, there's a small genetic component, but I really think I turned on the expression or the trigger for that to happen to me at that time.
Probably malnutrition, right? Yeah.
Malnutrition, exercising. I never listened to my body. I was just like, oh, you're lazy. You just need to exercise anyway. It doesn't matter how you feel, so I would just push any, if your mind was telling you that, I'd just be like, oh, shut up. You're just lazy, So I just
worked. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was getting up every day. I needed like a whole I was getting up at 5 o'clock, working for my early morning clients. And then I had to have a whole pot of coffee just to drink, just to get up out of bed to get there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then, so I started to, at that time, I was starting to become more and more interested in nutrition. And I went to nutrition school, and that really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of the things I was doing wrong. I learned about eating more fat and protein, and blood sugar regulation. And around that time is when I started my blog, and because I really wanted to get the word out to help other girls and women who might be doing all these destructive dieting habits and want to really restore their health with real food.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that you're doing that. I think it's important because there probably are more people than we know in that same position and struggling with some of the same issues that you struggled with. So thank you. So you also talked about how at this point in your journey too, when you discovered you had the Hashimoto's, you went to a naturopathic doctor who started talking to you about how you needed to eat fat. And if you want, you could either choose to be sick or you could choose to be a vegetarian, and it was either or. So tell us about what you learned through information from the Weston Price Foundation research and all of that.
Yeah, in the second year of my nutrition studies, there was a doctor we learned about. It was a dentist. He traveled the whole world looking for diets of ancestral people that lived without the influence of Western foods. So he would record everything. He would look at their teeth, because he taught, and I believe that the teeth are really the window of our health. And he found that their mouths were wider. They had less, no cavities. Even if they had if their teeth looked gross because maybe they didn't brush them, they were still healthy underneath.
Teeth, yeah.
And so one of the things that they ate was, there was no cultures that didn't eat animals of some sort. Maybe it was insects or eggs or fish or something like that, but they all ate animal sourced protein and fats in every culture. And then what was so interesting was that he went back a few years later, maybe 20 years later, and he observed the same people. And they had, at that time, brought in more Western food. And so they started to have more thin jaws. Their teeth were sticking out and all over. And
decayed, yeah.
Yeah, and so, it was a big thing that he recorded was the fat-soluble vitamins, the A, D, E, and K. Those are really big for your immune system. And so I think that's one of the things I did, was deplete those so much that my body kind of started robbing itself of those things.
Really important nutrients. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay. So, what I find fascinating about that is this was back in the 1930s and 1950s. Is that about the time frame when Weston Price was doing his research? I think she froze for a second. Yeah. Okay. So to me, that's fascinating that back then they could look at all of this information, and that's about the same time when we started going away from some of that ancient wisdom in the standard American diet. Why do you think we did that? What was the impetus, or what caused us to get so distracted and start demonizing these animal proteins and fats?
I mean, I think it's a combination of influences, maybe, I'm sure there was an agricultural component to where they discovered that they could make like corn oil, things like that were, and it may have been, maybe it was on purpose, I don't know, maybe not, but they, there was the invention of margarine, that was in the early 1900s to 1920s, something like that, and that was just shelf stable. I know that they took that into battles and stuff like that, and it wouldn't melt like butter, and so maybe that was a good thing, but then
convenience factors.
Yeah, and then there was rationing, and then coconut oil. I mean, there was a political, like maybe when we were at war with Japan, we stopped getting things from the like coconut oil and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like a history buff, but but I have read that there really wasn't a lot of heart disease around 1900. But I really think that the introduction of vegetable oil and maybe the corn subsidies and all that have kind of shifted the policy away from those kinds of foods. And if you eat corn oil, you're gonna make a lot more profit for other people, rather than maybe eating butter, I guess.
Yeah. So those are a lot of different thoughts there. I think that you're probably right on a lot of different streams. They're very interesting. Cool. Okay. So Caitlin, if you could go back to your adolescent self who was struggling with her weight, what would you tell yourself? What would you want to tell yourself at that point?
Just you when you're younger, you think that you're going to live forever and your body's going to last no matter what you do to it. And, you don't think about tomorrow. And I would just say, you need your body for your whole life, and don't abuse it right now just because you want the momentary, fix of losing weight or being thin. Like if, learn how the right way to do it and really research. I think before the internet and all that, we didn't really have all the tools. This information wasn't really out there. I mean, I didn't learn this stuff until I moved to California. I don't know that I would have. Of course, now anybody can read about it if they research it, because we have so many great blogs and bloggers and, but I don't think it was common knowledge even 10 years ago.
Yeah. And there's so many medical professionals now studying this too, which is really nice because there's a lot of research being done, and we can go and read the studies and for ourselves, like you said, through the internet. It's amazing. Okay, cool. So as a certified nutritionist and having done it yourself, what are some of the benefits that you see from a keto diet? What are the biggest benefits that you see?
Well, I think just, there's so many. I think self-esteem is one of them, because when you're always hungry, you feel like you have a character flaw, you have like some kind of
like you're not supposed to eat, right? Like we have this thought in our head that there's something wrong with us if we want to eat. Okay.
Yeah. So, to learn that actually what we're taught to eat is terrible for us. What we're taught to eat growing up is terrible for us. And it does make us hungry every hour, 2 hours, eating cereal and bread and donuts and pasta. So it's not a character flaw. It's just that we're eating all the wrong things. And if you do eat the right things, you're not hungry. You can go 4 or 5 hours without eating, or, longer in some cases. And it's not, and you can focus on other things and not be so emotional. The blood sugar regulation has really helped so much, because I would become so emotional just from the ups and downs of my blood sugar, and I'd have to carry like a granola bar in my purse, because if I didn't have a snack, and then like, let's say the food wasn't coming out, or because I was eating such a low fat diet that I couldn't go for another 30 minutes, without like crashing and becoming like hangry. So
that hangry feeling. Yeah.
like shaking and kind of weepy and all that. So
you find emotional balance and blood sugars balance, and
if you have more, you have more protein, or the right amounts of protein, you get more neurotransmitters. You get that's how your feel-good hormones are made, and your brain works better when you have the raw materials to make those feel-good hormones. They're made from protein.
Okay, very cool. So now you were going to talk to us about some of the common mistakes people make when they go on a keto diet. What would you say are some top mistakes people make?
I mean, I think just the same kinds of things I've been talking about is still relying on a lot of processed foods. So,
gotcha.
I remember when one time in college, I was after college, I actually tried the Atkins diet for a few weeks, for like a month one time.
Which is really high protein, low carb. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't the emphasis on moderate protein at that time. But the problem was, I don't know that I overate protein so much as that I overate things like salad dressing that were made out of trans fats. And that really, I could feel the inflammation. Like my throat was like closing up because I was eating so much like ranch dressing, Kraft dressing, that kind of stuff, that I actually think I got sick from that. So I thought, well, that must be why I'm sick, or why this isn't healthy, because I was feeling so sick from all of those vegetable oils that I was eating. And it was really interesting. It was strange. Yeah. But I was just, for the first time I was pouring all this dressing on, and now I still eat tons of stuff like that, but I'll make my own dressings
from the healthy fats and the good oils. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a big mistake, I think, a lot of people, and they may not feel well, and that might be one of the big issues, but they're not really aware of it, but they're increasing that so much. And then another thing I did wrong the first time I did Atkins was I eat a lot of like Splenda, that kind of stuff.
Artificial sweetness.
Yeah, aspartame. I'll still drink. There's been tons of research about how that can cause problems with your brain and your memory and all kinds of neurological things. So try to avoid.
Not to mention, how does your body function when you're feeding it that many chemicals, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is you want to facilitate healing and this isn't about weight loss. It's a long-term lifestyle, and you don't want to continue on with bad habits, maybe from the past, or, and sometimes people just do it because it's cheaper to maybe eat, even mayonnaise is really toxic. So I think they need to think outside the box and make their own, or now there's a lot of brands that are made from avocado oil, or you can make your own with like a light olive oil that's got less of that olivey flavor. So those are two big things. I think people, when I go on the low carb groups and things like that, I see a lot of people eating that kind of stuff, and it's really worth it to buy healthier options. I mean, even if you just mash up an avocado or something, like mayonnaise,
and use that for your mayonnaise, and the pre-made dressings, just turn it around. If you're not sure, turn it around and read. If it says soybean oil, canola oil, those are very processed oils that are full of basically engineered foods that aren't even food. So it's not going to help you. If you're inflamed, you're not going to lose weight the way you want to. I love that. And so what I'm hearing you saying really is that it's this, like you said just a bit ago, when you said you could go back to your adolescent self, and your body, you need to work with your body, right? It's not, don't just lose the weight at all costs. Make it a lifestyle. And if you take care of your body and you nourish your body loses that weight. And it's the same thing with this ketogenic diet, right? Don't just do the ketogenic diet to lose weight, do it to be healthy, because you're going to lose more weight And it's sustainable that way, right?
Yeah. And I mean, most people who come into keto diets or low carb diets, they are dealing with health problems.
Mm-hmm.
So to not do it full circle, kind of missing the boat, because your health problems may not get better if you don't, really remove the inflammatory foods too.
Yeah, and focus on the nutrition. Good. Okay, so that was my follow-up question to that would be, what are some of your best tips to making the ketogenic or low carb paleo lifestyle a lifestyle and not just another fad diet? So I think you've already mentioned some things, but is there anything else you would add?
I mean, I think one of the things that really changed for me is back when I was doing lots of low fat dieting and, just, I was eating, I didn't know how to cook. Mm-hmm. And so becoming now where I'm cooking all the time and I enjoy cooking, I feel like it's kind of self-care, self-love, by going in the kitchen and cooking and going to the grocery store, making that a habit of, if you have more of an income, you can do other things, like you can do the meal delivery boxes. I know like some of them have low carb mm-hmm. options. If you have a bigger budget, you can make shortcuts for things. And you can do Amazon Prime, getting those, like all your oils and things delivered to you, can make it easier. But I mean, just making the time to go every week, shop, cook. I mean, of course you don't have to. Like yesterday I was eating in the, was it Five Guys? I got
Five Guys burger.
Yeah, I was on the interstate. I was driving between states, and I got the Five Guys burger and the lettuce wrap mm-hmm. with the mushrooms and onions and stuff. And it was just, that was a really good option, mm-hmm. but that's not something I want to do every day, because I know that meat is not the best. It's not, grass fed, and it's got a lot of hormones and all that kind of stuff. So you don't want to eat that stuff every day. You want to try to shop and take care of yourself better when you are home and you can. So I think for me, like, just taking the time to do that is like saying, well, I love my body and I care about myself and I want this to be a long-term solution for me.
Okay, very cool. And so is that what drove you to create your cookbooks, to write your cookbooks?
I mean, I think, the whole journey to, and my husband's a chef, so he really taught me how to cook. Mm-hmm. And like I always wanted to learn, but there wasn't really, my stepmom was always working. My mom wasn't around she didn't live with me. So there was just nobody to teach me really. And then, so when my husband went to culinary school, then he would bring home his new findings to me. And
cool.
So I would learn how to cook from him. And
I love it.
That made a big difference. And, like yesterday I had been traveling, and then the first thing I wanted to do last night, my husband was like, I'll take you out to eat. And I was like, no. I just want to cook. And I used my Instant Pot, and I made some chicken curry with my Instant Pot for like 30 minutes.
Awesome.
So, over some cauliflower rice. So that was pretty good.
Perfect. Simple. So I wanted to tell our audience too, we're going to be giving away a copy of one of Caitlin's cookbooks. It's the Mediterranean Paleo Cookbook, and it's a gorgeous cookbook. I'm so excited to give that away. So stay tuned on Facebook. We're going to be giving that away. You'll get a chance to win that. But if they don't win it, where can they get your cookbooks, Caitlin?
Well, I mean, everything's over at grassfedgirl.com. I have mediterraneanpaleocooking.com. You can buy it through there. Okay. It's on Amazon. It's a lot cheaper on Amazon if you want to buy it
there you go.
Here than in a bookstore. So that you can just click right through and Mediterranean Paleo Cooking on Amazon. And I also have a PDF for your listener.
Oh, that's right. She has a gift for us. So tell them what it is and where they can go to get that.
So if you go to grassfedlist.com, you can get the PDF of the 12 common keto diet mistakes. So there's 10, and then there's 2 bonus ones. So that's a PDF. You can look at those, especially if you're just getting started. You want to avoid those diet mistakes.
Okay, so head over there and grab a copy of those diet mistakes, and then watch for a chance to win that cookbook, or go buy it on Amazon because you're going to love it. So thank you so much.
Thanks for low carb.
Yeah.
It's called the Mediterranean paleo cooking, but there is a lot. There's 150 recipes, 112 of them have low carb options for
cool.
And directions, and there's low carb options.
Very cool. So you can take that and you can make it keto friendly.
Yeah.
Using the same ingredients. Awesome. Love it.
All right. Thanks so much for having me, Phil.
Yes. Thanks so much for being on. We're looking forward to seeing where things go for you in the future. We love your blog. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Phil.
Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Ketone Express Summit.